Okay guys, so this video I'm going to combine the last two videos into one because they're both kind of small and pointless. So this is going to be about how our data store saves things from our forms and then how that data um, goes to the API controller towards the back end. And so essentially how that works is the form in the HTML templates are required to have certain name fields in order to because they automatically get bound to a given model. And so how that works is, let's say we have our data store, we have the fighter model, we have personal information. This has actually I need fighter model here. So fighter model, um, we have, this is the variable name right here, personal information model, camel case. Inside of that is camel case, like first name, last name, birth date, which is actually not the underscore one, but the getter setter one, so no underscore. And then if you look at the form here, so form data model attribute is the name of that instance, camel case personal information model. And then every input control inside then has a what is it, name value of first name, last name, etc., which is exactly the field listed inside of personal information model, right? And so because of that, um, so the forms get bound automatically, which is from the parent view class here. So bind forms locates every form, um, and then for each form, we target that form, add the onBlur event, onBlur. We call do the callback form save call, basically. That's given to the view, um, and that was given by right here in the route controller. We do set callbacks form save to all of them. Fire event form field save, pass the data, upload data. We'll get to this in a second. So um, let's see, data store here. The way this is all actually working is this is listening to events here. Um, so data store is extending from the event dispatcher from the last video. Um, it's subscribing to route controller's form field saved event and then runs this testing event callback, which calls this.save field, which is this, and it's given the event and the model. Um, and so here on form save, it fires the event form field save, passes the event the model off, triggering this to happen, which calls save field, and then it does this hacky JavaScript shit where it's like this dot fighter model, which is the fighter model, and then square bracket the model name, and then the field name, and then the value name. So event target was the input that was blurred on, and so we have the name value and then the value value, which the value value. And so model will basically go inside of fighter model, and that should be the camel case, basically a string here, the camel case personal information model, and then this should be the field name, like first name, last name, and then the actual value of it. And so this just automatically sets any data inside of our model just automatically, just like that. It just hashes straight to that field and straight to that model. And all that requires is that the form has the data model attribute and the inputs have the name attributes exactly the same as the model, basically. Um, Ideally, later on, you could have this model set up in such a way that the forms are automatically given these names based on the name of whatever the model variable is. Um, that way, all your forms and all of that can be like dynamically changed when you dynamically change like your model setup. But um, who knows? Um, anyway, so now I'm going to talk about how it goes from the data store to the API and thus the backend. And so the way that works is that it's just another event here on the views. So next, actually, never mind, it's exactly on form save again. So basically every blur we're firing off this event upload data, which API controller is listening to. Upload data route controller. So DataStore is listening to the form field saved event here, and then API controller is listening to the upload data event also here. And so every blur, we save the data to the model and then upload it to the API controller. And so this is just calling update fighter, which is right here, which is doing fetcher update, and that just straight up at the moment still just takes the entire data store and just sends it off into an update AJAX request. I think that's everything actually. So in order to finish this, we should draw a little diagram of the flow. And so that's going to be like, let's say we have HTML form here. Here's the model. Here's the fields. This needs a specific name for the model. It's really hard to draw letters. These would need field names. So let's say field, and this is HTML. Oh God, I'm struggling with that. Wow. Okay. Oof. All right. That's HTML. And so then these on event, basically on blur rather, these automatically are gonna be logged into our data model on the front end here. So it's like a front end database. Personal info, pinfo. So right there. And so that's just happening automatically. And then route controller here again. Right. On, what was it? So let's see. On form save. So every time this blur happens, this is firing off an event too. That is saying form field was saved. And actually, well, it's given a callback to the view that's actually calling that. So that'll be, so on blur. On blur, it triggers the callback given from the route controller, which then the route controller fires off its own custom event called form saved, and that goes to, oh, actually this goes to the data store. So actually this here is inaccurate because these should not be talking at all. This is the view in the model and this should not be talking. So let me figure out how to erase. I have no idea. Yeah. No idea how to erase. Okay, this thing's great. It's a wonderful tool. Anyway, ignore this. This is not happening. It's inaccurate. Because these don't have access to each other, our model and our view. So the view is triggering on blurs, sending the data, passing the data to the callback in the route controller, which calls the event. Form field saved, which goes up to the data store because this is listening to this specific event, and then is given the data, which then plugs it into the slots there automatically. And then on this exact same blur, this is also firing off a upload event after the saved event, which is going to our API controller and telling it to run that function here, run that function. That function then just like takes from the data store, gets the information back, and then sends that to our Node.js backend here and our Mongo. In the back end here. And so that's the back end, not the front end. God, these pictures are terrible though. So yeah, there you go. That's basically how it's working in picture form. I think that's it. So I think that's all the code I need to cover.